I get asked a lot of questions about solo female road tripping. Things like, how do you do it? And aren't you scared? And very often, where do you go? Well, I look at that last question as more like, how in the world do I decide where to go? Because for me, that's really the thing. Where am I going? It's a good thing, though. Of course, the answer to that question is based on so many things like budget and time and personal taste and sense of adventure. And of course, it's different for everybody. But today I'm going to share with you one way that I solve that problem of where to go every year. And that answer is books. Yes, books. Hi, I'm Bing from WonderBing Travel, and I've been solo road tripping for many years now and writing about it. And I've got 50,000 plus miles under my tires and many more to go. And when I'm not traveling, I likely have my head in a book of one kind or another. And so today, on this very chilly day, very snowy day, it seemed like the perfect time to just think about books and think about road tripping in the spring and summer and fall and all the places that I might want to go. And books have such a big impact on my decision making because of places that I've read about or authors that I've connected to that really drive me to investigate those places. So, speaking of books, I want to share that I've written my own. And if you'd like a sneak peek at it, you can download the link here. And if you want to learn about why and how a solo road trip can change your life, I have a free gift for you. Check out my guide called Going Solo, the transformative power of a solo road trip. With the guide as your starting place, I can help you get from wherever you are now to those glorious moments of experiencing wonder on the road. Just click on the link in the description for wonderbingtravel.com/going solo. Okay, so books. I read all kinds and not necessarily about travel. I do love travelogues though, and I've definitely read my fair share of those. But today I want to share with you 5 authors who have shaped my travel life over and over again, and really all for very different reasons. Some of them have more than one title that has made an impact, and then just a disclaimer, I guess, this is just 5. Also, the first 2 may surprise you because they're not travel writers at all, but they are both novelists who use place as major characters in their writing. And that's really what speaks to me in all 5 of these authors' books, a sense of place. And so I connect with all of their stories in part because of the place where they occur. Okay, first up. And somehow I noticed when I stacked my books here, I must be really drawn to blue books because almost all of these are blue in some way. Okay, first up is Jan Karon. Jan Karon is the author of the beloved Mitford series. I so love these books. I've been reading them for years. They are definitely old friends. I've read them over and over. And while a few of them are set in other locales, the main location for her books, the main setting of her books, is the tiny town of Mitford, North Carolina, which is fictional, and it's deep in the mountains of the Blue Ridge in North Carolina. There's so much to love about Jan Karon, and I could just babble on forever, but I will tell you that the thing in reference to what we're talking about today is just that town of Mitford is such a character. It is such a real, vibrant. The people who live in Mitford love the town, and the town loves them right back. They are so connected to it. It is just a vital part of who they are and how they behave and how they act and how they treat one another, and the deep roots behind that. That's important to me. When I took my very first road trip by myself, I purposely sought out the closest place to where Mitford would be. And there is a town called Blowing Rock, North Carolina, that's actually become quite a bit more popular and larger because of Jan Karon and her books. That is just truly beautiful, charming town. And so I wanted to seek that out because I really wanted to see what Mitford felt like as best I could. So anyway, a little crazy, but I love it. Okay, next guy is Pat Conroy, the beloved Pat Conroy. Pat Conroy wrote primarily about the Low Country, Beaufort, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Charleston. Those are his sweet spots. And then also a book that takes place partially in Rome. And it doesn't matter where it's set, it becomes home really fast. And it's deep, and he's so good with sensual language and making you can see everything, you can smell everything, you can taste everything as he describes it. He makes you really want to go there. And he also is very purposeful about writing about community, and his characters are always steeped in their community and in their people. All of those things resonate with me. So I love, love, love Pat Conroy. His book South of Broad, which is about Charleston, South Carolina, and the people, a very specific group of people. Just a real quick story. This is kind of how crazy I am about Pat Conroy. So the beginning of South of Broad, his main character, Leo, has a paper route. He's a teenager, and he has a paper route that goes around the neighborhoods in the South of Broad. And it's very, very detailed as he explains this paper route in the opening chapter. And it's so, I don't know why, it just mesmerized me. So when I went to Charleston, not long after reading this book, I took Leo's paper route. I walked it. I just needed to know that it was real. And I was so thrilled to find that it was exactly right. That to me is just such an author who has so authentic, so purposeful. It was so important to him, clearly, to get all those details right. And it meant so much to me to find out that they were. Pat Conroy. Number 3. Okay, across the pond to Frances Mays. You probably know Frances from Under the Tuscan Sun. She is an American, of course, though. She was born in the South as well, but spent most of her adult life living at least partly in San Francisco. Then she bought that beautiful rundown old villa in Cortona, Italy. So she's written quite a few books about Italy, and I have a huge love affair with Italy. For many reasons, she is certainly one of them, and I have learned a lot from her. She has, again, a very intentional pride of place, and I think growing up in the South, she had that. I think that's very intrinsic to growing up in the South, and especially in small towns, but also coming to love Italy, which it takes that to a whole nother level of just centuries and centuries of people who have been making pasta in the same kitchen, right? And have been making wine in the same vineyard and all of that for millennia. So I love how she brings Italy alive to me in the nitty-gritty. I love the details, and I have sought out many a detailed little tiny hole-in-the-wall place because of Frances Mays when I'm in Italy. She also just recently released this beautiful book with National Geographic called Always Italy, so check that out too. Okay, 2 more. All right, very different now. John Steinbeck. John Steinbeck, of course, we think of Grapes of Wrath and all that, but this is a very different Steinbeck book. It's called Travels with Charley, In Search of America. In 1960, John Steinbeck took a 75-day road trip at age 58 in a camper van with his standard poodle, Charley, and they just went to see America. And that resonated with me so much. I think one of the things that was most fascinating to me about this book was that while he did this trip, 60 years ago plus, it still, the way his language, which is so beautiful, it just really struck home with me as he would describe the things that he saw and the people that he would meet. It was just really fascinating. Also fascinating to hear just how different America was through his eyes in 1960 than it is today. But I loved it. And he has this quote from when he was on the coast of Maine that just really resonates with me. And this book is underlined almost on every page, but this one in particular, he says, "There are times that one treasures for all one's life, and such times are burned clearly and sharply on the material of total recall. Yes, yes, and yes. I get that so much. Just, and it happens when I travel the most. Those places that you can just, it's burned in your brain forever. You will never forget standing in that spot, smelling that smell, seeing that sight, hearing that voice or that bird or that train whistle or whatever it is. It's forever burned in your brain. And that is so much of what travel is about. It just takes you to this other place and then it's burned in your brain forever. So check this one out. There's a movie too. I've never seen it. I'm always a little scared to watch the movies and be disappointed, but there is a movie. Okay, last guy. William Least Heat Moon wrote a book called Blue Highways. He took a trip back in 1978. He took a road trip that went on for 3 months, and he drove for 13,000 miles in a truck that had a back of some sort on it. He didn't have two nickels to rub together, really. He was kind of in a bad situation at home and decided to just try something new, and boy did he ever. So this was recommended to me when I was in the midst of my very first road trip, the similarity being that he only traveled back roads and side roads. That's why it's called Blue Highways, and that is my mantra as well. I stay off the highways. America does not live on the highways. America lives on the back roads and the side roads, and I don't want to see what highways have to offer. I want to see the people in the real places, and that is exactly what William Least Heat Moon writes about. You can tell, lots of quotes. My favorite of which is a quote from early on in the book. He's at a crossroads of sort mentally and spatially. And he says, trying to decide what to do, he said, home was a left turn, right was who knows. And then he quotes Madison Wheeler and says, a man becomes what he does. So I took who knows. And kind of like Robert Frost, right? That made all the difference, the road less traveled. So I have learned so much from all of these people and all of these books and so many more. But these have all inspired me and informed me to become a better traveler, to be more curious, to want to see specific places and things, to have specific or just to have experiences like some of these people had. So if you haven't read travelogues, go find yourself one. Read one of these. Think about books that you really love. Are they set in places that just make you want to go there? From the time I was a little girl, I have let books take me all over the world. Thanks, Mom, for the library. Took us all the time. Thank you so much. It's so amazing to be at a point in my life where I can actually seek out all these wondrous places in person. Solo road tripping, it's really opened up new worlds for me. It's changed the life that I had into something very different now and something that I absolutely love. There's so much to learn. There's so much to explore. There's so much to just wonder about. So please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of it.